Hello, welcome to the Thought Leader Recruitment Podcast Show, where we go deep into how people are reshaping the world's hiring. Today's guest is Rhys Mcelli, co-founder of Moular Search. Rhys, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks very much for having me. Yeah, really excited to dive into this conversation.
Yeah, really pleasure to have you, mate. So, yeah, let's start. There are a lot of recruitment firms and platforms out there. What gap did you see in the market of creating your company?
Great question. That takes me back for just over 4 years ago now. We saw a bit of a gap at the beginning, we really saw a gap to be a niche provider within specific sector. So to give you a bit of background, we typically partner with CDMOs and CROs. But if you look at life science and pharmaceutical as a broad term, we're a couple of layers in. So the original gap that we saw was really being ingrained in that specific micro niche. It was a risk, but we felt like we wanted to attack that micro niche to be embedded in the market and actually be true experts. And that's what we did for the past 3 years. And then a year ago, I think we saw a different gap, which with some of the AI conversations that were coming in, we saw a different gap where we could support CDMOs and CROs on a bit of a deeper level with the landscape of hiring changing so quickly. And that's what's led us here today.
Okay, amazing. And yeah, when we talked before, you mentioned you started out more like a typical
Yeah,
recruitment agency. What was the kind of turning point that led you into kind of fully embrace this AI tech-driven hiring?
it's a good question. Another great question. It all stemmed from a bit of a ChatGPT release. Everyone playing around with, hey, ChatGPT, can you do this? And when you start to really divulge into what an LLM can do, what an automation software can do for multiple different tasks, we knew that the advancements we knew it was the worst it was ever going to be. So every day it was constantly getting better. And for us, when we were speaking to clients about there's typically three metrics that we look at, and it's cost of hire, time to hire, and the quality of hire. And when you look at those three metrics, AI can pretty much transform and impact all of those three metrics in a very clear way. And how we were measuring those, we felt that there was a better process and a better system that we could put in place for our clients with AI at the forefront, to really drive those metrics and essentially improve the hiring process for both candidates and clients.
Gotcha. And what's the core problem in the hiring process that you're trying to solve right now with your platform?
Great question. First of all, it's transparency. I feel like there is a real divide between in multiple different industries, but particularly in life science. I think there is a huge divide with transparency around the data, transparency around who's actually available on the market, and how we approach those candidates to get them into some of these high performing CDMOs. And what we're looking to do is get rid of that bottleneck and provide the data, be transparent with the hiring process from day one, that really enables CDMOs to make the best informed decision with who's out there. And then it gives control to the candidates to know exactly where they're at in the process and exactly how they're being selected. So yeah, we're trying to be a little bit more transparent with our approach. And yeah, it's going to be a tough journey, but we feel like that's what's necessary to take recruitment to the next steps with CDMOs.
Yeah, transparency is so important. How are your clients responding to the AI driven systems you're building? Is there any feedback or tractions that stood out?
Yeah, so we launched a prototype of Node AI, which Node AI in its simple form is a web app that allows any CDMO to map out any market or any position within minutes. So they can practically see who's available in North America, Europe, or parts of Asia, and allow them to build a talent pool. Most of the feedback has been really positive in the sense that the access to data that they now have can make them have a better informed decision process, particularly around stakeholders. Some of the feedback has been wow, we didn't realize this was that advanced. We really need to speed things up. So it's an education process. I think it's more of a to help clients understand there's a better, faster, and more efficient way of doing things. And we're trying to be the flag bearers of that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And what's been the hardest part of launching a recruitment tech product? Was it the kind of building of the tool? Was it getting users, or was it something else?
My honest opinion is the education. I think actually building the product is probably one of the easiest and it's often the most fun part, right? Because you're getting feedback, you're speaking to people about how this could impact their hiring processes, but actually speaking to stakeholders that have been so ingrained in hiring processes, that have been so broken and so old school for such a long period of time. My honest opinion is the hardest part is convincing stakeholders that this is the new era and this is the way that we would like to do it moving forward to improve those metrics that we discussed. And ultimately, you're talking about improving shareholder value when you're breaking down the time to hire, you're improving the cost, and you're improving the quality of hire. So that education process is something that I'm embracing, but it's been the most difficult part.
Yeah, yeah, I can totally see that without a doubt. That's going to be the toughest challenge for sure. A lot of platforms say they're AI powered. What are you actually automating or optimizing in the back end to improve hiring?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you look at executive search firms, particularly in life science, they'll often promise short lists or long lists, however you want to describe it, to be delivered within a 6 week period. So that's them researching the companies, mapping out the market, looking at different service offerings for that particular project. So let's use a random example of a VP of operations in a CDMO and they need it based in North Carolina. The majority of executive search firms will typically take 6 weeks to map out those companies, look at who's available on the market, go out and speak to them, and then deliver that long list. And 6 weeks in that type of process, in my honest opinion, is far too long. So what we're doing is breaking down those barriers. So we're saying, look, over the past 8 years of purely working with CDMOs, we have the most comprehensive database of CDMOs within development and manufacturing sites across North America and Europe. And then if you pair that with Node AI, which is the software that we've developed to map out the candidates, we're now promising that we can deliver that long list within days or hours versus weeks. And ultimately, we believe that that can decrease the bottleneck for companies that are really looking to make an impact. We're talking about bringing medicines to patients. We can't wait 6 weeks. And often the costs are too high. The executive search firms that are charging hundreds of thousands of pounds to deliver these projects, we believe that it's excessive. And with the data that we've got to our hands, especially with some of the softwares that we've built, we're now bringing that to market. So that's what we're trying to achieve. And it's been an exciting journey. I think some executive search firms may not be quite happy with us, but yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, for sure. There is a perception that AI removes the human touch in hiring. You seem to believe the opposite.
Yeah,
Can you kind of explain why?
absolutely. Yeah, it's something that I'm super passionate about because I think the difficulty when you have large language models like Claude and ChatGPT, the premise of what they do is speed, right? They deliver speed. You can get accurate results very quickly. And I think sometimes the concern is if we're utilizing AI to automate interviews, to automate messaging, to automate conveying the message. My personal opinion is I think that's the wrong way to use AI. We should be using AI to map out the talent pools, give data to companies, and also give data to candidates about those companies with what's available. We should be using AI to deliver many different metrics of what's available in that talent pool. And that's just at the back end. At the front end, you still need that human touch to convey the message of this is the mission of the company. this is how the candidate could fit into that mission. And it's a two-way street, right? Like if you look at AI interview platforms, if a candidate is being asked specific questions about their experience, AI then can't convey the message back to the candidate about the mission of the company. So that's where I believe the misconception comes of AI is shouldn't be used in the hiring process. It absolutely should be, but only at certain points. And that's what we're conveying to our clients is that at the back end, AI is at the forefront of our process, but at the front end, conveying these messages, delivering this approach that can really drive the candidate experience, that should always be managed by a human. And we feel like that blend has really put us in a nice trajectory where we're delivering quicker, faster, and better results for everyone involved.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree with that. Absolutely. And are candidates changing the way they approach job searches? Are you seeing more demand for like speed, personalization?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's become too easy for candidates to apply. I think I have no issues with LinkedIn's quick apply button. That I think it works really well. But if you look at the percentage of qualified applicants on an average role, you're looking at single percentage figures. And where you make it so easy to apply for a job, and sometimes I feel like it's just a process for a candidate to click apply, move on without actually looking into it. So what we've tried to develop is when we work with strategic partners on those particular jobs, we'll get our clients to have a bit of a video about the position, just something that's a little bit more engaging rather than just a specific job post. And we've seen better results in applicants actually wanting to speak to those companies rather than just having a quick apply. So I think candidates are being a little bit more aware of, look, we need a little bit more than just a job description that has maybe been written by AI, who knows? They need a little bit more. And that's the message we're trying to convey is like, look, we should be embracing AI, but if it makes it too easy for candidates to apply to jobs, the quality of applicants become lower because everyone can just click a button. But if you are conveying the message that a hiring manager has taken the time to record a video, speak about the mission, actually showcase what this position could do for the candidate's career, we've seen a better uplift in applicants and a more streamlined hiring process for everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like if you're going for a job and it's not something you're not bothered about, you can just click a button, you're just going to do it, aren't you? But
Yeah,
you know, if you really want this job and you have to do like an introductory video, you have to, you know, answer these questions. The people that do that are really interested because it takes time and effort, doesn't it? So,
it reminds me of like when cover letters were really popular. It's like if we can replace cover letters for videos, and even if it's a short 30, 60-second introduction, I think the quality of those applicants goes from single percentage figures to double, even sometimes 30%. Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, and something that isn't spoken about enough.
yeah, absolutely. And what's the vision for Moular Search over the next 12 to 18 months?
To pretty much disrupt executive search and the talent consultancy market as much as we can in life sciences. What we're trying to achieve is the level of transparency that we want to bring to the market is going to shake things up. And if we can do that with Node AI and showcase how we can better make hiring for candidates and clients, then we would be really proud of that fact. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing really innovative CDMOs jump on Node AI, really embrace it. And we're delivering shortlists in the space of hours rather than weeks. Hiring costs are being reduced by up to 40%. If we can continue that trajectory and we can impact CDMOs from that perspective, then that's the vision for the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, great stuff, great stuff. And where can companies go to explore what you're building and what's the best way to connect with you and try the platform out?
That's a good question. So version 2 of Node will be launched literally within the space of a week or two, depending on when this podcast gets released. I'm really active on LinkedIn, so just my full name, Rhys Mcelli. There's a lot of demos. We'll be releasing a webinar that will showcase what we can do. Anyone that's interested in having that AI conversation, particularly if it's a company looking to make that transition, I'm always happy to put people in the right direction because everyone's spending far too much money on recruitment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rhys. Really appreciate your time today. And that's the Full New Recruit podcast, and I'll catch you next time.
Cheers.